Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Wayne County. You know, we are a diverse congregation that welcomes you as you are, regardless of your age, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, economic status, or physical ability. We come together to seek deeper meaning and understanding from each other and the world around us. Your presence here today is a gift that brings us closer to that understanding. We're an active community that lives its values beyond the hours of Sunday service. And I would like to call your attention to the following. Parents and caregivers, please be aware that for RE today, the children and youth will be going outside for an egg hunt during our service. And they will, what's he doing?
I want to go.
He wants to go. And they will need their coats. Anyone new to our congregation is welcome to join Reverend Walter for coffee today, shortly after the service. Grab a beverage and make your way down the hall to the minister's office for time to simply chat, ask questions, and get to know each other. If you would like to find out more about our activities, please feel free to ask Karen Skubik, right there, our membership coordinator, after service.
Pat, and good morning all, and I would like to welcome any visitors we have here today, and I know we have a few. If you would like to introduce yourself or someone with you, you're welcome to do so, but you don't have to. But if you do introduce someone, then we can greet them better after the service, or if we've never met you before, it'd be nice to chat a little bit. So any takers? Oh, looks like Cheryl's willing here. Okay, excuse me.
My name is Cheryl Rennick. I live in Barberton, and I read about this church in the Beacon Journal, and I like what I read, so I came here.
Welcome, Cheryl, and thank you, Beacon Journal. All right, anybody else? All right, well, welcome all, and have a great day.
For our chalice lighting this morning, I'm reading The Sun by Mary Oliver. Have you ever seen anything in your life more wonderful than the way the sun every evening, relaxed and easy, floats toward the horizon and into the clouds or the hills or the rumpled sea and is gone. And how it slides again out of the blackness every morning on the other side of the world like a red flower streaming upward on its heavenly oils, say on a morning in early summer at its perfect imperial distance. And have you ever felt for anything such wild love? Do you think there is anywhere in any language a word billowing enough for the pleasure that fills you as the sun reaches out, as it warms you, as you stand there empty-handed? Or have you too gone crazy for power and for things?
Now invite you to please rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit, 347, in your gray hymnal. Good morning, everybody. It is time for all of my more energetic friends, my youthful in heart and body and mind and spirit, if they wish, to come on down to the front. I want to have a little conversation with you in our little, it's a time for all ages. I don't have a story, I have a conversation. So if anyone would like to come on down, I mean, we've already got Hawthorne here. Good to see you, Hawthorne. Word. Anyone else care to come down? I want to talk about what today is. Does anybody know What day is it?
Easter.
Did you know what day it is?
Easter.
It's Easter. Okay. What is Easter about? Who can tell me what Easter's about? All right. Wait, hold on. Can you say that again?
Easter egg.
Easter eggs. Very true. What else? Okay. Peg says candy. What do you think it's about?
Are you talking about like the first thing Easter was about? Or by that?
Well, why don't you tell me what you think that first Easter is about?
First Easter?
Yeah.
I forget. My mom told me, but I forget.
Okay, that's all right. It's a lot, right? Anyone else want to tell me what they think Easter's about? Anyone? Okay, very interesting. Good you kids. None of you mentioned the J word. Any of you heard of this guy named the Easter Bunny? Tell me about the Easter Bunny. What does the Easter Bunny do?
He delivers the Easter baskets and he delivers the eggs.
Okay, and what's in that Easter basket?
Toys and candy.
All about the holiday right there. Anyone else want to tell me about, anyone know about this Jesus guy? Juan, you don't count. Do you know about this Jesus guy? Yeah, can you tell me about him?
I forget what I was going to say.
Okay, so Jesus is someone we don't talk about a lot. We're going to talk about Jesus today. And I'm going to warn everybody here, we are talking about Jesus today. And Jesus can be a hard topic for some people. But I want to talk about one of the things this guy Jesus 2,000 years ago said, and it's really weird. He said, "The first shall be last, and the last shall be first." Does that make sense to any of you? No. All right. So, all right, let me ask you this. Are any of you the first, the best at something? Any of you something that you're really, really good at, that you're the best at? Yes?
I'm good at art, but I may not be the best at it.
But you're really good at art, right? Feels really good to be really good at art, right? Anyone else got something they're really, really good at? Hawthorne.
Soccer.
Yeah, soccer. Good at soccer too, excellent. And softball. You are a triple threat, my friend. Here's the hard part. Have any of you ever been last? Have any of you ever, how does it feel to be last?
Not the best.
Not the best.
Maybe a little upsetting.
A little upsetting, right? Is it fun to be the last? No. Can I tell you a little story? When I was in school about your age, my first name is Walter, my last name is Clark, and we did a lot of things alphabetically. Now, when you do it alphabetically by last name and you're a C, what does that mean? You're near the front, right? So when it came time in lunch to line up alphabetically, I knew I was getting the biggest hot dog, right? Brady Buchanan might be getting the biggest hot dog, but I was getting at least second, right? It felt good to be up front in the first, right? Feels good. How does it feel to be when they said, you know what, we're going to line up by first names? Oh, man. I'm a W, and there is no Zachary, Xavier, or Yvonne in my class. How does it feel to be last in the lunch line, getting that sad Jell-O cup? Not good. The sad Jell-O cup. Jesus didn't like the sad Jell-O cup. Yes, you can quote me on that. You can't. Okay. The thing that Jesus wanted to say, see, you know what? All of this stuff where we're ordering people first to last, saying that some people are better than others, I don't like that idea. Do you think that maybe everybody has something good about themselves? Yeah? You have a word? You have pencils in your shoes. You will be the best at putting pencils in your shoes. That is definitely true. And it's Sunday. He's allowed to have holy shoes. Okay. So it feels good to tell everyone, you know what? It doesn't matter if you're first or last. We're all being treated the same. And I think that's one of the big things that this guy Jesus was talking about. That's what I think is really important about today. That and the chocolate. So, are you guys all about being equal, treating each other nicely? Can you do that today? That means sharing your candy with mom and dad and your parents or your adults, right? You have to share candy with your adults. You know that, right?
No.
No. You don't want to share candy with your sister? All right. So I want to lift that up as I trip over my dress. I don't want to, but I will. I don't want to, but I will. Because you want to be nice and equal and fair, right? That's what we're trying to remember today. I don't want you to give her all, but maybe share if things seem a little unequal. Do you think you can do that? Yeah. Do you think y'all can do that? Yes. All right. I think our Sunday school lesson has been learned. We are ready to go Easter egg hunting. Do y'all want to go Easter egg hunting outside? All right. Well, then let's very joyfully sing the children out. Go with you, go in.
Our faith is centered on the belief that we can make this world a better place for all who dwell in it. In order to realize that vision, we need both the motivation and the means. Your donation helps the community put its faith into action by supporting our programming and facilities. This morning and throughout the month of April, donations that are not designated for another purpose will be split with Trinity UCC breakfasts. Each weekday, Trinity UCC serves a free hot breakfast in their fellowship hall to anyone in the Worcester community. The offering will now be collected and gratefully received. Join me in this unison reading. The words are on the screen. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others.
Please join me now in the spirit of meditation. For this meditation, I'm going to share with you a reading by Atena O'Danner. And I encourage you to let your eyes go soft during this reading. Look out the window at the trees. If you're uncomfortable, close your eyes. Put your feet on the floor, if you can. And just listen. What if we tried to breathe together? pull in, pull deep, release together. What would be born from a unified fulfillment of the bodily self and its undeniable need? What if we all try to breathe together? A shared breath is a moment, refreshment and a reminder of our more than oneness. And if we continue, if we slow and quicken a pace with each other, a murmuration of lungs becomes one organ singing. And if we continue, learn each other's rhythms, over time, rising and falling like waves, we become a perfect thing. A conspiracy dancing, a dance of need and met need, request and offering, feeding each other. What if we decided to breathe together? What if we open the airways? What if we unblock, unbind, unfetter the hands that feed us, the earth, the air, and the water that holds us and shape us? We're breathing together before we found ourselves existing. And so they will continue after we are gone. Imagine our final goodbye coming later than sooner. Imagine our final breaths in paradise. It's not too late to slow down, fall into the dance, catch the vibrating air and release our lungs into song. Anything breathing cannot help but breathe. But breathing together is a choice we make. May it be so. I encourage you now, if you are so moved, if you have brought with you a sorrow that weighs upon your soul, to come to our water table and to take a stone and to place that sorrow upon that stone. Put it in the water and let it go. And if there is a joy that lifts your heart, that makes you sing inside, put that too upon the stone. And place it in the water so that its joy may be shared with all of us. As we sing Spirit of Life, I encourage you now, if you are willing or able, to come and place a stone in the water.
Our reading this morning comes from the book of Mark, from Christian Scripture, chapter 11, verses 12 through 19. This is from the New Revised Standard Version. On the following day, when they came from Bethany, he was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to see whether perhaps he would find anything on it. When he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. He said to it, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard it. Then they came to Jerusalem, and he entered the temple and began to drive out those who were selling and those who were buying in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves, and he would not allow anyone to carry anything through the temple. He was teaching and saying, "Is it not written, 'My house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations'? But you have made it a den of robbers." And when the chief priests and the scribes heard it, they kept looking for a way to kill him, for they were afraid of him, because the whole crowd was spellbound by his teaching. And when evening came, Jesus and his disciples went out of the city.
Do y'all remember What Would Jesus Do? That ubiquitous phrase from the 90s that wound up on so many rubber bracelets right alongside our Livestrong bracelets from the 90s. I remember in seminary we talked about what would Jesus do, and very often we would say, flipping tables is still an option. And I agree with that sentiment. I just hope that y'all don't do it during coffee hour today, at least until I get my cup of coffee. I'm going to warn you all now. We're going to do a deep dive into these verses. We're going to do a deep dive into the Gospel of Mark for our Easter service. And I want to realize, I recognize the fact that Bible has come up in our services over the past few weeks a little more than expected. And I just want to say it wasn't me. All right? About 2-3 weeks ago, somebody decided to bring up Moses and the burning bush. I remember that. And there was a service not too long ago where somebody brought up 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I don't see Gail Woolsey. She's the one who did. There she is. You are usually right there. But that was you, right? Right? And y'all being good you said you warned everyone ahead of time. Just to let you know, I'm bringing up the Bible. Just to let you know, it's Easter. Expect the Bible a little bit on Easter. I think it's only fair. Because this is a Christian holiday. Yes, I know. The pagans got it taken from them. I know about all Ostera and all of that fun stuff. But this is a Christian holiday. And there is something that I think is very important in Christian scripture, especially this passage, Jesus and the moneylenders. And to do a deep dive, we need a little context. Why were there moneylenders in the temple in the first place? Why were people selling doves? This is not a magic supply store. What is going on in the temple? According to the laws of Leviticus, set by Moses, burnt offerings are to be made at the temple. This is what happens. And very often the burnt offerings were livestock, right? The sacrificial lamb. Doves were also used, right? Grains could also be offered up at the temple. burnt offering of the grains, right? So you're supposed to make an offering every Sunday or Saturday at the temple. I said Sunday because we're here on Sunday, and I'm hoping you all put something in that collection basket as your sacrificial offering. We will take doves, lambs, and grains. And the more you had, the more you were supposed to give to the temple. This also should sound familiar, kind of a progressive tax rate, you could say. And what were these offerings used for, right? What happens when you burn a lamb? Come on, Jim, what happens when you burn a lamb? Besides the smoke, you get mutton, you get food, right? And in any case, barbecue. You get barbecue. This was food. It was used to feed the people who worked in the temple. And it was used, any surplus was used for the widows and orphans in the community. How similar does this sound to how we gather now without the livestock, right? We offer money, we bring it together, we use it to sustain ourselves and to help the community at large. So this is pretty understandable. And this is great in smaller churches, right? Because you get wonderful community services. You get a wonderful intentional community. Was Jerusalem a small temple? No, man, that's the big city right there. That's like going to All Souls in D.C. I guess technically Tulsa's the largest UU congregation in the United States. We can preach about that later. And when you have the city, right, how many farmers live in the big city, even in Jerusalem? Not many. And so how do you make that burnt offering? How do you get those lambs and those doves? When you're a Pharisee, a hotshot lawyer in the city who doesn't farm, what do you do to get your sacrifice? You buy it, right? And there's one thing we know about the capital market, it's location, location, location. If I have livestock and I want to sell it to the hotshot Pharisees who are willing to drop a lot of money, I want to get as close to the temple as possible, right? So I'm going to move a block away from the temple. I'm going to be between the law offices and the temple. Well, my competitor is going to move half a block closer, and then they're going to move closer, and then they're going to move closer, until finally what? You're in the temple. You are in the temple. And this is good for the Pharisees. This is good for the rich folk. Why? One-stop shopping, right? They get to be right there. And two, if you've got people who are selling goods in the temple, you know exactly how much everything costs. And if everybody knows how much you're spending on your offering, what are you doing? You are showing off your wealth. And I want you to think about that from the point of the Pharisees and the rich. Who are the rich in Jerusalem at the time? The rich Jews. Who are they working with? The Romans. And what are the Romans doing? Keeping the Jews in line. So these are the Pharisees, the rich ones who are betraying their own kind, who are going into the temple, who already have wealth accumulated through the acts of oppression, and they are showing off their power to everyone around them. Is that how you all want to worship? I don't want to see that. They get there, they show off their stuff, and then in walks Jesus. He's just come into town, and he is a little hangry. He looking for figs and couldn't find any. He's a little upset, comes in, sees these rich Pharisees who oppress his people showing off in the sacred temple, turning a sacred place into a place of profit and power. So, yeah, he flipped a few tables. How many of you get angry and want to do something like that sometimes, right? How many of you think about, oh my God, how much are these people making at the Amazon warehouse, and want to flip a few tables? How many of you read those sappy, good heart stories about the little girl who starts a lemonade stand to pay for her mother's kidney operation? And instead of saying, oh, isn't that a wonderful, heartfelt story, say, why does a girl have to resort to labor to save her mother? Don't you want to flip a few tables? Don't you look at the income inequality? You ever seen the graph for like the 90% who are the lowest 90% and the top 1% and just see how exorbitant the difference is? Don't you want to flip a few tables sometimes? When you look at all of this stuff, you can ask, what would Jesus do? Jesus was about equity. Jesus wanted to flip not just the tables. Jesus wanted to flip the narrative of what it was to be powerful. The last shall be first, and the first shall be last. He wanted everyone in that temple, Pharisee and the lowliest of widows, to have equal access to atonement and forgiveness. So much so that he claimed that he would be the last sacrifice needed for any of the Jews. No cash needed, single payer atonement. All are forgiven. All are worthy. And whether or not you believe in the divinity of Jesus, whether or not you believe in an afterlife, I think we can all agree on that concept that everyone is worthy, inherent worth and dignity. And that's a dangerous thing. That is a very dangerous thing. They said in that Bible verse that the Pharisees didn't like hearing all of this talk from Jesus. And the people liked it, and they didn't like that the people liked it. The last thing, it's a dangerous idea when you talk about this, and when you're someone who holds power, the last thing you want is to last shall be first, and the first shall be last. So maybe you think about getting rid of this guy. There is danger in speaking truth to power. Power fights back. And it seems that power's been doing that an awful lot these days. We have seen in Tennessee 2 black state lawmakers were expelled for violating decorum. There have been lawmakers who have sexually assaulted people who had more due process than those 2 young black men. There's danger to speaking truth to power. We see it in the anti-trans legislation that seems to be popping up all over this country. We see it in all of these anti-trans bans and sentiments that are propping up as protecting our children from drag shows and books. Books. There is danger in speaking truth to power. March 25th in Chester, Ohio. Anybody know what happened? Yeah. Chester, Ohio. Somebody tried to burn the church down. Community church. Threw a Molotov cocktail at the church because it was hosting a drag show. 2 weeks ago. Chester's not far from here, folks. It's not. According to our district representative with the UUA, the Reverend Sunshine Wolf, more UU churches in our area and the southern region of the United States are experiencing harassment. Recently, a UU church who was simulcasting their service was Zoomed bombed by a white supremacist group. UU churches are finding, on occasion, demonstrators in their parking lot on Sunday mornings. There has been a man in Cleveland who has been targeting UU congregations as a visitor. And when the sermon starts, he stands up and starts yelling Bible verses. And he's escorted out without resistance. But I can't imagine anyone feeling safe after that. There is danger in speaking truth to power. There is a very real possibility that these things could happen to us. And I want more than anything for this sanctuary to be a safe place. I want more than anything for all of you to feel secure under this roof, knowing you are among friends. Speaking truth to power is a dangerous business, and we need to remember that. Jesus is an example of what happens when you speak truth to power. So is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. So is Viola Lauzzo. So is Heather Heyer. Do y'all remember who Heather Heyer is? You remember who does not know who Heather Heyer is? Heather Heyer was a young woman who was murdered in Charlottesville by a car. And we even have issues of people speaking truth to power and seeing the dangers of it in this room. Juan, Jay Clemmy, who is not here, David Griffiths, or David Paul, James Griffiths. You were all here when the White Lives activists came and counter-protested to the Black Lives Matter demonstration. Those people were carrying guns. And all it took was for some hotheads to be a little too confrontational. And luckily, that didn't happen. Speaking truth to power is dangerous. And while not every single one of us here is expected to march in protests, not every single one of us here is expected to face off against white nationalists, and to be honest, I hope none of you ever do. Many of us here have a faith that we believe we need to make this world a better place through works. We need to create justice. Yes? Which brings me to the first part of our reading, the fig tree. I'm going to be honest with you, the first time I read this passage about the fig tree, I thought, Jesus is being a bit of a jerk here. Right? This fig tree isn't in season, and you're cursing it for not meeting your whims? Oh my gosh, Jesus, you're not yourself when you're hungry. Have a Snickers. But one interpretation of this story is that the tree is in leaf early. It's a bit of an early bloomer. So amongst all of the trees in bud, when you've got a tree that's in leaf, what does that look like? Ooh, look at me. I'm a pretty tree. I'm ahead of the others. I got my leaves going. I'm all wonderful. I'm standing out. Look at me. And Jesus is like, dude, you are not a shade tree. You're a fig tree. If you're not going to bear fruit, why are you bothering? Then he goes to the temple, sees a bunch of Pharisees. Ooh, look at me. I'm a Pharisee. I've got money and power. Ah, geez, these guys. The message is reinforced over and over again in this passage. Do something with your faith. I want to read to you the next few verses of Mark, because they also reinforce this idea, and they may be familiar. In the morning as they passed, they saw the fig tree withered away to its roots. Then Peter remembered to him and said, Rabbi, look, the fig tree that you cursed is withered. And Jesus answered them, have faith in God. Truly, I tell you, if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and if you do not doubt your heart, but believe that what you say has come to pass, it will be done for you. So I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe you have received it, and it will be yours. Whenever you stand praying, forgive, So if you have anything against anyone, so that your Father in heaven may also forgive you. This is that faith can move mountains, or one of the faith can move mountains passages in the Bible. It's in there a couple of times. All you need is faith, and anything is possible, right? Any of you literally moved a mountain by faith? Anybody literally moved a mountain? Yes. Someone has literally moved a mountain. It's been done. Not through faith. It was done with slave labor. King Herod, the guy who was looking for the baby Jesus before, wanted to celebrate this big old victory that he had had. And so he wanted to create a palace. Cool. I want the palace over there, 8 miles from Jerusalem. But I need it to be higher. But there's no mountain there. Well, there's a mountain over there. Move it. So he did. They moved a mountain. They put a palace on top of a mountain because Herod wanted it, and he did it with slave labor. And he did that around 40 BC, 8 miles from Jerusalem. Do you think Jesus knew about this story? It's right in his backyard. This is something everybody knew about, right? He knew that if you had the power of a lot of people, especially a lot of people who were made to work together by a despot out of fear and hatred, if you had the power of a lot of people, you could do anything. But if you had the faith behind it, you could move mountains instead of the hate. What Jesus is saying in this, with faith being able to move mountains, is if you believe in doing the good works that I've talked about, if you believe of not being showy like the fig tree, if you believe in creating an environment where everyone can be equal and have equal access to atonement, we can make this world a better place. If you have faith in what Jesus stands for. Does Jesus stand for the rich and powerful? No, despite what prosperity gospel may be trying to tell you. Does Jesus stand for a caste system of oppression? No, the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And in the end, when he talks about how you pray, the first thing he says is, when you stand to pray, forgive. Forgive your trespasses. Get the hate out of your heart. You cannot pray for vengeance. You cannot pray for hatred. You cannot pray for oppression. You have to believe and move in love. That's what this is about. We are being reminded in these passages to do the work of justice in the name of love. Flipping tables in the temple was an act of reclamation to remind us about what the faith should be about. Equity, not disparity. The fig tree is to remind us that showing off our faith is nowhere near as important as living our actions and our faith out loud. And how we pray is to remind us that we need to do so in the name of love. For if we do and act together in the name of love, we move mountains. And when do we do this work? Now. Today is Easter. Today is the day where people talk about Jesus' sacrifice in order to cleanse our souls for the afterlife. And that's all well and good. But the redemption I want is on this earth. The redemption I want is here and now. The redemption I want is to make this place equitable for everybody today. I appreciate the Savior Jesus, but I love the rebel Jesus who flips tables, curses fig trees for being too ostentatious, and reminds us to move mountains in the name of love. The rebel Jesus wants to redeem the world by making it a better place. And my friends, this is dangerous work, but it's necessary if we want to build a world that we can all live in. May it be so. Our final hymn is the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing. If we want to talk about a group that wants to build the world and make it a better place, this is a song to remind us that this work isn't easy. I encourage you to rise in body and spirit and sing along with us.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our white star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met Thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget Thee. Shadowed beneath Thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
I hope you get lots of chocolate. I hope you have a good Easter dinner, whether you're doing a traditional ham, a more sensible turkey, or you're just doing something vegetarian. I do not know what vegetarians do for Easter, but I'm sure it's delicious. I didn't mean to make fun. I was being serious. And I hope you remember why we're here. Not just on Easter, but on every day. There's work to be done. There is inequity to be solved, banished, vanquished. I want this world to be beautiful for everybody. I want to redeem this world for everyone, and I know each and every single one of you does too. Let us make this world a better place, my friends. Go in peace. Come back refreshed. Let's do it all again. May it be so.